Hello there, good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Always regarding the topic of marriage. Today, we're going deep into marriage, and we have in our studios Reverend William Ainty, and I'm your host, Nana Kofi Bar. When we come back from this commercial break, we'll delve more into this matter.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk life in light of both global and domestic development. The Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank
Many of us are silently enduring these marital challenges, often hiding our struggles from public view. Today, we delve into common yet often unspoken issue. That's the influence on in-laws, family, and other external pressures of our marriages. Have you ever felt torn between your partner and your family? In our discussion today, joining us today, we have our Assistant Minister in Charge, Reverend William Ainty, as our guest to discuss today's topic. I am your host, Nana Kofi. Let's uncover.
Thank you very much.
To go straight to the point, Papa, understanding the impact of external relationships, how can the influence of in-laws, family, and third party silently collapse marriages?
Thank you very much. We thank God for this opportunity. I would first want to extended relatives, in-laws, siblings, and the rest. They can have influence on the marriage, positively or negatively.
Okay.
And when we take the pressure they bring, we want to look at the negativities and the adverse effects. One, it can undermine the authority of the spouse. Both husband and wife, they have authority to work within the marriage. However, when there is unnecessary pressure from in-laws and third parties, it affects the authority. So that the man or husband will not be able to exercise his authority well, because of the influence from third party. It can create division in the marriage.
Oh, okay.
Especially where an in-law sides with the child, let's say the husband, against the wife.
The wife.
It will be very difficult, Chris, because the other party will feel neglected by the in-law, supporting the. So it can create that. Then it can create insecurity. The one who is affected by this sidelining feels insecure. You feel they don't like me, They are rejecting me. They are supporting their child against me. And so it will affect a lot of things when it comes to how he or she will relate with the spouse. So the external pressures can be very dangerous. And then it weakens the trust. It makes the other person feel you tend to side with your parents or relatives more than me, being your spouse.
All right.
And gradually, it can affect the trust in marriage. So it has dire consequences on the marriage.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for how do generational differences and cultural expectations contribute in these challenges?
Thank you very much. Let me take generational differences. It's a big gap. How our grandfathers, parents lived decades ago is different from our generation. Culturally, for example, in their time, women's major role in marriage was to perform household chores. That was the culture, the norm. In our time, we are trying to encourage men to support as and when necessary. The challenge comes where an in-law comes home, sees their son helping the woman wash, and becomes a problem. Why should the man wash? Why should the man clean? Why should the man cook? So because of the cultural difference in generation, they tend to put pressure and want their son, who is the husband, to stop. Meanwhile, if he feels the need to support the wife in doing it, I don't think there's a problem. Okay? I don't think it's a problem. Then another thing, culturally, there's that norm that the man especially, being, as I believe he's working and earning some money, they expect culturally his duty to take care of the younger ones.
Yeah.
Whether you have the financial muscle or not, you are expected to. And once they put pressure on him, it affects the finances of the home with the wife and children. And that can be a problem. So the gap. And then how our generation do our things differs in many ways from the previous one because of exposure to social media, education, and other things. So we should be able to understand each generation, especially our time, and they need to adjust so that when in-laws come in, they come to fit into our time, using the experience to guide us, not to impose their generational issues on us. The last thing I'll add is that in their generation, they want to impose their parental experiences. We did it this way. It worked. It may be a good idea, but it may not work with our generation. We may have to adjust this in a certain way. So when in-laws come in and want you to apply it as they did, it can create a problem.
Oh, okay.
Because the situations may be different.
Okay. So for you made mention of social media. I want to ask, can social media amplify conflict or misunderstanding between in-laws and spouses?
Very, very much. I can say that is together with mobile phones, is the third force. When we talk about third parties in marriage today, is a big and problematic third party in marriages. It can really amplify challenges and problems.
Okay.
Sometimes you see people's status, a married person, then you comment, I am very lonely.
Oh.
Now, once, so to speak, another man who is interested in that woman sees this, it becomes an advantage for him. Oh, though married, he feels lonely. Then let me take advantage, get closer, offer help. It can create a big problem. Once you put emotional issues happening in marriage on social media, it affects a lot of things. And so and another thing is that it is now taking the center stage in the life of a lot of spouses. The attention they ought to get for their spouses are now given to phones and social media. So now that quality communication and interaction to build intimacy is lost in a lot of homes or marriages because of social media. So you may have your challenges at home, but once you allow social media to influence you more than your spouse, it makes the problem worse. It affects communication, it affects trust. So that now one may not want to look into someone's social media issues, posts, and the rest, hiding it from the other. Then raises questions, suspicions. Then it affects trust and a whole lot. So we got to be very careful about social media. It is good in many ways, but we should harness it to make our relationship in marriage better, not to make it worsen the challenges we face.
Oh, okay, right. So, identifying red flags and challenges. What are some of the early signs an in-law, or let me say, a family member could become a problem with?
Okay, so some of the red flags. Those who are yet to marry, or you are married, you are at home, your in-laws are around. The wife goes to kitchen to cook. Mother-in-law enters. Occasionally, you just bump into your bedroom. When an in-law begins to overstep his or her boundary, to be too inquisitive, to be too much into the affairs of the marriage, is a red flag. Yes, as much as they are parents, there should be a limit to things they can, or where they can go, where they can touch, where they can operate up to. Then, persistent destructive criticisms. Oh, you are a bad woman. You are a stubborn guy. Don't come and worry my daughter. We can criticize, but it should be constructive, that which builds, that which corrects. It shouldn't be destructive. Once third parties bring in destructive criticisms, especially those who are now preparing to enter the marriage, it should make you curious to investigate how the family, their value or their lifestyle in terms of criticism is like. Once you realize it's a habit in it, then you should be careful where you are entering, or you must know where you are entering. Then where the relative or the other person side more with him or her in all things as against you. Especially before marriage, it means when you enter marriage and problem comes, the likelihood that they will always stand by their relative as against you is very high. And that is also a red flag. That should signal you that something is not right somewhere. It calls for. That's why in our Kan language they say that bisa. Bisa means you must investigate into the background of the person, the family, and all that to know their strengths and weaknesses, if you're okay with it before you enter. Then where the third party relatives, they like unnecessary comparison. Especially, let's say, if the guy had dated someone before meeting the current person, they always be, oh, Adwa no better. It's dangerous because you try to demean the other person, comparing her unnecessarily to someone. We are humans, but we are different in many ways. And so we go to the guy. Then finally is lack of respect.
Okay.
Where you don't respect the other person from the relatives, in-laws, siblings, is a big problem. If they don't respect you before marriage, it will be difficult for them to respect you when you enter marriage proper. So these are red flags. They give you signs that you got to be careful.
You got to be careful
before you decide to enter.
Okay. So but then how do people or couple who are already married deal with in-law who are over-controlling?
Sure, that is a big problem. But one, the couple must be very united.
Okay.
Because it's a challenge. One must not fight it alone. The two are one. So they must be united in handling issues that come from in-laws and third parties. Then they must limit their dependency on them. There are some couple, everything they will inform third party. I'm going to tell my mom. Marriage is not for young people. It's not for children. Once you enter, you want to tell us you are mature. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, to handle issues. It is children who complain at the least of problems or challenges. So once you enter, you are mature to handle. When there is a problem from third party, you must be one. Discuss it. See how both of you will be one in responding to it. Then when the person is over domineering, you don't face the person in a violent or disrespectful way. Note that whatever they do, they are mothers and father figures to you. The scripture enjoins us to respect or honor them. Therefore, in responding to them, you must do that with all respect and humility. And then you must avoid making it personal to yourself. Once you make it too personal, you react in a way that is disrespectful. And they will see you as being insubordinate. And that will create a lot of problems. Because no matter what, they are elderly people, they are parents, sort of, and we must acknowledge them as such.
Okay, so how can a couple handle critics or, let me say, judgmental in-laws?
Okay. So, one thing those who are yet to marry must notice that before you enter marriage, you must know yourself, who you are, your values. You must know your family and their values, what they represent. Know your spouse and the values of his or her family. For example, if, let me use an osofo in a church. If you hear the child of that osofo misbehaving somewhere, no matter what, the name of the father will be brought into the discussion. Are you not osofo so and so's child? The behavior is now undermining the values and the name, the dignity of his or her family. So now, once you enter marriage and you have judgmental this thing, how you react will be very key. Because in marriage, you, the spouse, you are now part of that family. So if you misbehave, you are going to dent the identity and image of the family. Therefore, when you have such judgmental in-laws, one, acknowledge their perspective. Respect what they have said. But if you think it will not help you, let them know that, okay, we respect your perspective, but we have decided to go this way. So it still comes back to the husband and wife must be united. If they are not united and one says this, the other says this, it will create more problems. It will give more room for the in-laws and the third parties to continue pushing the agenda. But once they realize that you are one, your responses are the same, you have made up your mind already, they will stop along the way. So then once the issue of judgmental comes in, the affected person must be supported by the other spouse. If the judgmental issue was against the wife, the husband must stand by her because you are in a covenant relationship with that person. If you neglect the person, the judgmental issue would dawn on him or her, create stress and unnecessary problems for the person. So you must always be there for each other in handling. And of course, we must be very wise and tactical. Like Jesus, it is not everything that we must respond to. If someone declares a judgmental statement on you, I mean, sometimes at that moment, don't even respond. Because sometimes the response may trigger further unnecessary situations like insult and all that. Sometimes you just keep mute. Think over it. If it requires response, you discuss with your spouse, you respond appropriately. If not, you ignore.
Okay, so when we get married to a particular person, you can't detach the person from his or her family.
Sure.
Still on the issue of, let me put it this way, a clingy in-law.
Yeah.
How do we set boundaries to an in-law who is overly attached to his or her child?
Good. So boundary setting is very important. Still, on that, it must come from both. So before entering marriage, the two must sit down and list things they will put in place as boundaries. That for this one, we will not cross this. Third parties will not cross this. So for example, a third party, a relative, comes home. The boundary you can set is that we will not send any relative who comes here into our bedroom. If there is anything to be paid from bedroom, ourselves will go there because that is specially for us.
For us.
You don't let any third party enter our bedroom.
Okay.
You set that boundary. So you stick to it. No matter what happens, you must eschew all laziness. If there's a need to go there for something, you go there yourself, pick it back. It's a boundary. There are things that when the third party comes to the home, let's say as Christians, if you want to do devotions, you stick to it.
Yeah.
If you don't set that boundary, it's 7 p.m. You're supposed to do devotion. In-law is around, he says, I want to watch telenovela. Once he realizes there's nothing going on, he'll push for that one. But once he realizes that, oh, in this house, about 7 pay a devotion, he would not do what he or she wants to do at that time. So the two must specifically put down principles and things that in this house, we do this at this time, we do this at this time, we don't do this. And when someone comes in, you share with the person. When they come, you welcome them, you let them know that, oh, if he had a way, we allow this, we don't allow it. When the person is aware, to a large extent, he will live to comply with these things whilst he stays around. If there's nothing, anything goes, and it will affect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can couples navigate the
Despite what has been done, I am with you. You are my partner. I'll never neglect you. So that the person will overcome the stress that comes along with that emotional stress. And then 2, you two must discuss who caused that emotional stress. Should we respond? How do we do it? When do we do it? Where do we do it? Sometimes for the nature of that issue, it may not be necessary to handle it in the home. Sometimes you can invite the person to lunch somewhere, go and sit down, eat. In the midst of that serene atmosphere, you raise the issue. Oh, our father, our mother, the other time how you spoke to this person, we realized you were trying to convey something, but it didn't go well. It has affected him or her emotionally. We'll plead with you that you check it so that you don't do that again. Respectfully, tactfully, you have made a move about it. So the two must be one in helping and dealing with that. Then, of course, being Christians, sometimes you take it to prayer too. Mm-hmm. Prayer doesn't do everything, but prayer must be part of everything we do.
everything.
That is it. Pray
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So you made a scenario whereby you have a nice way of talking to your in-law on an issue that has happened.
Yeah.
So are there any communication strategies couples can use to address their in-laws or family members?
Sure. Good. There are, communication, a message from one person through a medium to the other, and a feedback.
Yes.
Okay. So 1, between couples, communication must be clear and straight to the point for better understanding. So we are developing principles or boundaries for this home, our marriage, in our house. It should be clear, straight to the point, no ambiguities. Then, when there are issues and we want to respond, we must be one on what we are going to tell the third, must be out of it. Then, as much as possible, we must avoid third parties when it comes to handling issues through the means of communication. There are couples, the least thing, I'm going to tell my uncle, I'm going to tell this person. The more you tell people, the more problems, the problem even increases. Because some people, they are not even interested in the peace in the marriage. Yeah. When they hear problems, they rather rejoice.
Exactly.
We've got them. That is it. So as much as possible, that's why we say marriage is for mature people. Try to engage it yourself. And then as you engage, as Christians, you pray about it. And then sometimes you can even read about it. How do you handle it? And all that. And then you see the way forward. Then in the communication too, you can develop codes between the two of you. Codes as in expressions and terms that when I say it to you as my wife or husband, when someone stands here, the person that don't understand, but I understand. Coded expressions. So that it will help you in your communication, so that it can help promote the privacy between the two of you, so that third parties may not know what you are talking about. It's a nice thing to have such codes, because when you speak it, you understand it. Third party doesn't understand, and it will help a lot.
Yeah. So earlier on, I picked a point where you said, in an instance where there is an issue, one party stands behind the other party and
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, oh, we decided to do it this way," or
Sure.
sometimes, well, I told her to do it that way.
Sure.
So, are there any other supports spouses can use, or yes, spouses can use in navigating this kind of relationship or issues when they arise?
Sure. Now, when it comes to communication, because of the covenant between you and your spouse, you must always stand by and defend your spouse. When you are dealing with third parties, in-laws and the rest, even if your spouse is at fault, in front of the third parties, defend him or her. When they are gone, you criticize or rebuke the person. That's between the two of you. It shouldn't be done in the presence, because when you do that, it will make them disrespected.
Okay.
So you must always stand by your spouse, no matter what, and then support the person. Then you must encourage the person that despite this shouldn't destroy the peace and joy in our marriage. Then we must focus on the positives. Sometimes when there are challenges from third parties, people become very negative about it. And your mother doesn't like me, your father doesn't like me. Always that mentality. When you have a negative mentality, it affects how you speak. It affects what you do. It makes you become prejudicial. Anything, you just conclude, oh, as for your people, they don't like me. But it may not be the entire family that dislikes you. So you must always be positive when you are handling problems that have been created by third parties. Despite the challenge, be positive that we will surely overcome this. So you, the husband and wife, must encourage yourself. That is explained it, and then.
All right. So, sometimes when you speak to your family on a particular issue, mostly the affected person is always like, "We kakra so ko kachwe, o maami ana ho we ko kakra so ko bo obi ana sofu bi amane."
Sure.
So, at what time do we seek external advices, or at what time do we seek let me say coded or secret help or something from outsiders, especially counselors? Let me put it that way.
One, when communication between the spouses break down to the extent that for days, weeks, months, we are not in good talking terms, that's very dangerous. Because for couples, communication is a key factor in making the marriage enjoyable. So when you realize that for days, weeks, we are not talking, and it's not getting better as quickly as possible, you may have to decide and seek help so that it's resolved. Because the more you keep avoiding each other in communication, the deeper the problem becomes. Secondly, when we realize that the marriage, the peace and joy in the marriage is no more. It is always fighting, giving loose talk to each other, castigating. When this thing is constant, you realize that no. No, we need help to set the marriage back on the right path. At that point, realize that between the two of us, we are not able to handle it. Therefore, if we bring in someone, it will help us, say a pastor or a professional counselor or psychologist or something, to come in. And even with that, it is not easy, but still it must come. The two of you must agree.
Yes.
If one goes and the other does not agree, the person will not join you in meeting the person. So both must still agree that, okay, how things are going, I think we need someone to come and help. Then another thing is, when the boundaries set are constantly broken, either by others or yourselves, then realize that no. Because when you break the boundaries, it's like the boundary is like a wall that protects the unity and everything in the marriage. Once it is broken, it means every other bad thing can enter and destroy the serenity.
Yes.
So once the boundaries are broken, you realize that no, it's a signal that you need help. Because ordinarily, if a boundary is broken, if you are really strong in the marriage, you quickly resolve it and move on. But one breaks, you're not able to resolve. Another breaks, then continues, then realize that no, we are getting it wrong. We need to get someone to come and help us. Then when the issues from in-laws and third parties directly affect parenting, because remember that when things are not going well between husband and wife, the people who suffer directly mostly are children. So once you realize that because of what is happening, we are not getting proper time for the children, it's affecting them. They are not happy, and they realize that no, we need to get help so that we can be in good terms, and then the children will be at peace and the family would be. So when we see some of these signs, we should know that no, it's about time we sought for help.
Okay,
Those are
so
issues.
the power of forgiveness as Christians. How can forgiveness play a role in healing relationships with in-laws and family?
Wow. Yes, forgiveness is a powerful tool in every human endeavor, wherever human beings have relationship, in our homes, in church, at workplaces. And you know, couples should understand that because we are humans, but we are differently built up. We're brought up in different ways. Our experiences are differences. Our desires and the rest are different in a way. So once we come together, it will create friction along the way. When you understand this and your spouse wrongs you, and let me add this, being Christians, Jesus teaches us that when someone wrongs you, you should do what? Forgive. And that time, Peter asked, how often should I forgive? 70 times?
Yeah.
7 times.
7
And Jesus
times,
said 70 times
times
7.
7.
Literally just saying, no, forgive and just let go.
Just go.
Now, the more you hold on to the wrongs of others, you rather hurt yourself the more. You suffer the more. So, to relieve yourself and the one who offended you, you learn to forgive. Forgive because if you don't forgive, it creates increased tension between the two of you. And the more tension comes, it separates you. You'll be sleeping under the same roof, on the same bed, but you'll not be talking to each other. If you don't take care on the bed, someone can even put blocks to separate the two of you. But that is not necessary. So, one, forgiveness reduces the negative emotions that comes out of the problems that's confronting the couple. It reduces the tension,
Yeah.
and so the emotional stress. Then it opens the door for reconciliation. Once I realize I wronged, I've accepted, I'm pleading for forgiveness. If you accept and forgive me, you realize that communication will now flow and then we can come together again. Once you insist, I will not forgive you, no matter what you do, then it will not help. It will continue to break communication. Then forgiveness also restores the respect between us. I wronged. Maybe what I did, it was sort of, whether intentional or what, it undermined your authority or your dignity, sort of. But once I'm ready to apologize and you're also ready to accept, you realize that the respect comes back, the trust is restored, and then the happiness and the peace in the marriage is also restored. Things get better. But when we hold on to our stance that we never forgive, what we did is painful. I always say that as Christians, we should ask ourselves, Jesus didn't do any wrong thing, but he suffers the greatest burden and pain. Your pain may not compare to that. But if Jesus has forgiven you, why should you hold on to the wrong of your spouse? You forgive and you move on to make the marriage enjoyable.
Well. Okay, thank you very much for this first section. Now, let me remind viewers we are streaming live on our social media platforms, Trinity United Church, Legon, on both YouTube and Facebook. You can send your comments and questions to the comment section on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 050 157 9996. 050 157 9996. We'll go for a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay.
Conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United.
Welcome back, viewers. Don't forget to send your comments and questions on both Facebook and YouTube. Trinity United Church, Legon. You can also send your comments and questions to our WhatsApp number 050-1579-996. 050-1579-996. We are with us today discussing the topic with our own Assistant Minister in charge, Reverend William Ainty, on the topic, What I Wish I Knew Before Saying I Do. So, question by Ruth Redu. Please, what's the meaning of in-law?
Yeah, thank you. So it was taken from the Old English word lagu, L-A-G-U. That means referring to regulation or rules. So when we bring it to marriage, it's the relationship that exists between a married person and the relatives of the spouse. So originally, without marriage, if I see a man's mother, I may see her just as a woman.
Okay.
But once by law, I become connected to the son who becomes my husband. Because of that arrangement legally, the mother becomes a mother through the legal arrangements. So in-law is the rule that establishes a relationship between a spouse and the relatives of the spouse, the other person, because of the legal relationship between, that is through marriage. Yeah, that is in-law, in the eyes of the law.
Okay, so another question from Kweku. He's saying there is a woman whose husband has prevented his in-laws, that's the mother of the wife, from coming into their matrimonial home and has prevented the wife from going to see her parents too. The man doesn't want to listen to anything. He wants his family to stay away from his in-laws. What can the woman do? Is it a healthy boundary the husband is setting?
It is extreme. But to properly deal with it, we need to know why he set that boundary. That's very important. What happened? What has he heard? What has someone done? Those he has blocked, what have they done? It is when we find out what necessitated the boundary, then we know the solution to prescribe. It is not healthy that much because no matter what you do, in an African setting, we say that marriage is not just between you, the man and the woman, right? When we marry, we recognize the rest of the family. That's why we pay a brother-in-law fee and the rest. We recognize all of them. So you can't totally take them out of the marriage.
Okay.
So that is very extreme. But we need to find out, why did the gentleman do that? When we find out, then we'll know the solution to give to it. As it stands, it will be difficult to prescribe a solution or something.
Okay. So another question by Mrs. Victoria Nyako. Also on third parties, what will you say about pastors who are third parties in marriages? Some people have their pastors as spiritual fathers who they claim are helping them solve issues and pray for them. They tell them everything, same with prayers. Some people are from one prayer meeting to the other, such that they keep sharing their problems to prayer meetings and with pastors for prayers. Are these healthy?
I would say that some are healthy, some are not. Some are not healthy because sometimes the one who goes to see the pastor goes without the consent of the spouse to tell the pastor of intimate things.
Right.
Which ordinarily, if the spouse was there, he or she may not be able to tell the pastor. So one, is your husband or your wife aware that you are going to the pastor? Did the person agree that when you go, tell him A, B, C, D about our marriage? If these things are not in place, then your going there is problematic. The best is both must be in agreement, and then you do that. Then I would also say that sometimes the best way as a pastor, when a couple comes to tell you, that is either the husband or the wife comes to tell you something without his or her partner, it will be better if you invite the other partner,
Right,
to come and you hear the side of the person,
of the other side.
so that you have the best view of the issue to deal with it. Other than that, to solve it through only one partner, to me, I would say to a large extent, is problematic.
Exactly.
But you see, it also goes down to the spiritual life of the couple, especially the husband. Ephesians tells us that the husband is the head of the wife. Now, the head is closer to God in that sense. So the husband is the link between God and the wife. So if a man remains very connected to Jesus, some of these things will not happen. A lot of women are roaming around because they heard the man who is supposed to be the priest of the house is not functioning. And remember, and now maybe say yeah, as if even until they say that in my baby say was I see so, not to insult them, but to say that figuratively, because the husbands are not that, some are not responsible, some are not spiritually alert. The woman feels I need solution to something. The priest I'm living with is not giving it. Therefore, I need to seek it from somewhere. It's problematic, but sometimes they can't help it but to move. And that's why we encourage Christians that those who are yet to marry, you must build a strong Christian life before you enter marriage. When you enter, maintain it. That's why at the engagement or customary marriage, you are given a Bible.
Yeah.
To tell you that you must base everything you do on this. If we are to live our Christian life according to the word, I believe most people will not run to pastors and prophets and the rest. Some are fraudulent in any case.
Exactly.
They do that to do people of their monies and the rest. And in the long run, the problem still remains. Let me share this. A woman shared similar thing with me, that they had challenge in the marriage. She went to tell the pastor. The pastor is a prominent prophet in Ghana. Then she comes to me to tell me the same problem again. Then I asked her, but if this man is your pastor, who am I? Me, I'm just a young man who has started ministry. The anointing on him, he said, when I went to tell him, the solution he gave me was that I should give my husband more sex. And since then, she never went to him again. Yeah, for certain reasons, I can't mention the name. If I mention the name, you're surprised. And he rather came to me. And I was like, wow. So I began to ask her what happened and what happened. A whole lot. Apparently, the man disguised himself to be a Christian, a serious Christian, just to win her. After the wedding on Saturday and Thanksgiving on Sunday, the man has never been to church. Yes. And now, so you can have a fair view of the genesis of their problems. He doesn't even know Christ. But to win her, she had to go to church by force for some weeks. And since then, after getting her, for over 17 years, I saw the mother. I saw for the then to come, Papa, my worry, no problem. No. When you come, I'll ask you, let's go back. How did you start? The choice of a partner cry a problem. When that one goes wrong, many things will follow. So I would say that we need to be strong in Christ. We need to live our lives based on solid biblical principles. It will help us avoid a lot of these challenges. If you are strong in Christ, when they come, maturity will show up and you can handle them. Not to boast, but 11 and a half years in marriage, nobody has ever come to sit to address an issue between I and my wife. We do have challenges, but by God's grace, we discuss it, solve it, and move on. We're enjoying life. So running to someone every time even tells me that your maturity as a married person is problematic. Abofrana Bibiato no catch class 1 teacher. Who do class 6, you don't go and tell your master, say, Kofia Bomi, Kofia say, no. Sometimes you let go, sometimes you handle it and you move on. So in marriage, it becomes extremely unnecessary to be running to. There be also. The day you go and meet also having problem with their wife, you go back. So let's learn to find ways of handling things. In extreme cases, then we can rest.
Okay, so for going more on issues around churches and stuff, most at times, it's the women that are found in prayer meetings and stuff. Even a lot of them have churches they attend on Sundays.
Yeah.
But during the week you see, let's say the woman going to another church or another ministry or another fellowship or another prayer camp and stuff. Sometimes these stuffs do shake in marriage because of the kind of doctrines or different doctrines all of these churches teaches. So for as a husband, how can I tell my wife or how can I speak to my wife about it?
So the question is, why does she run to prayer meetings and the rest? We say that there are existential needs crying for attention. The woman dreams every day, seeing horrendous things. She tells the husband, he doesn't pray about it. He doesn't encourage her. We don't read the Bible. We don't do anything. We don't fast. We don't go on retreat. She needs answers to what is happening to her. The husband being the priest, the head is not providing. She cannot sit down for the problem to eat her up. That's why a lot of women are going around. If a husband is very responsible, spiritually strong, on top of issues, it will be difficult for a woman to run around.
All right.
Seriously, generally, it will be very difficult. So we men, because I dare say that a greater responsibility of the success of marriage lies on husbands, because we are the head.
Yeah.
And know this, when God is giving the responsibilities, what does he tell the husband? To love the wife. And in 1 Corinthians 13:13, of all virtues, what is the greatest? Faith, hope, and love exist. And the greatest is what? Love. So if love is the duty of a man, husband, we have the greatest responsibility. When we say the man is the head is made up of many organs. Mouth, nose, ears, eyes, brain, skull. Every function of every part of this head is the duty of a husband. So you ask yourself, am I doing it for my wife? Am I doing it in the home? What am I doing as the ear of the home? As the eyes, as the tongue, as the mouth, as the eyes. If you don't do these things, it will be difficult. So then, husbands must set up. Because we are treading on a journey, and God says, it's difficult for you to go alone. Therefore, I'll bring you someone to what? Help you. The person comes and now you stop moving. Now the person must find a way to help both of you to move. And that's how come the women are going around. Of course, some go, Obi will have problem no problem. But then it goes back. Yes, there are a few of them. But generally, they go because there are problems, especially in their marriage. She doesn't even get the man to talk about it. Some men are very arrogant. African mentality, culturally, some men have the, who are you to advise me? I'm educated. I know what I must do. But there are problems, not solved. So the woman will find a way. So before the husband can criticize the wife and tell her to stop going around, she wants to see you offer leadership and solution to her challenges. Ideally, when a woman dreams, the first person to tell should be the husband. Yeah. But if you realize you are not ready to respond to it, she'll find another person to tell so that the person can give interpretation and pray with her and for her. So the young guys who are here to marry, you must build yourself strongly in the Lord before you enter marriage. If you don't want your wife to roam around on prayer camps and prophets and the rest, be the priest, be the prophet, be the pastor of the home, and your wife will be comfortable at home with you always. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. So how can one deal with an in-law who have no respect for privacy despite certain boundaries?
Wow. Someone will say a stubborn in-law.
The stubborn in-law.
Still, God's command stands. Honor your father and your mother. It's quite challenging, but still, husband and wife must be one. And find, I would also say, pray for wisdom to see how best to approach that in-law. And plead with the person that, as much as I am your child, your daughter, your son, I am now also building life and family with this woman or this man. Therefore, your consistency going beyond certain threshold in the marriage is affecting us. And honestly, let the person know. If that doesn't suffice, I believe the rest is to pray about it, that God should find a way of helping you overcome it. Or sometimes you can see professional help as to how to go about it. But I would say you let the person know that what he or she is doing is affecting you negatively. Therefore, you plead with him or her to tone down or respectfully so that you can enjoy the peace and the rest of the marriage.
Okay.
But despite that, we shouldn't disrespect them. We shouldn't show arrogance or that kind of pride towards them. That will even worsen it. We must be strong in respecting them, honoring them, whilst we find a way to overcome that situation.
So, so on the issue of in quote stubborn in-laws, so we also there be in a nice way, but still your in-laws are treating you like a child. So issues like how do you go about it?
Well, if it still persists, then I would recommend maybe seeing your pastor to come in, or a professional counselor or something to come in to see how best it's. But still, despite all this, I'll still say you pray about it. I mean, that would be the highest form of solution you can seek, because for God, when He intervenes, things will be better off. That's what I can say for now.
Okay, so a question from Mr. Beautiful. He's saying that there are too much Nigerian movies on TV now, and now there are several scenarios where spouse accuse an in-law of being a witch or a wizard, and then goes on to attack that in-law. This has led to some divorces because the spouse feels like defending their parents.
Yeah.
What is the right approach to deal with this situation?
Thank you very much. So the other day, Jesus and the disciples were walking. They saw a blind man. Then the disciples were like, Jesus, who caused? Is it the mother or the father? I believe Jesus knew if someone caused, Jesus knew it. But he said, here. The person getting well, that glory be given to God is the most important thing. You see, even if an in-law is a witch or a wizard, going to attack the person is not the solution.
Exactly.
No. Doing that thing is not Christian. Okay? So when that thing happens, one, I'll encourage you pastors and prophets also. You don't declare someone's, even if truly spiritually you have seen that the person is a witch. You rather encourage the couple to be strong in prayer. Because when you tell them, they will say, your mother is the one doing you. What you are doing is that you are destroying the respect they have to give to their mother. Meanwhile, that law still stands. Honor your father and your mother. So you, the pastor, should not create a problem between them. The best is to be careful and be strong in prayer. When you are strong in the Lord, no matter their gymnastics, they can never overcome you. So we should desist from that. When Jesus came, he didn't go around pointing at people. Jesus didn't do that. He knew the status of people. That's why he said we should pray always. We should be strong. We should remain in him. Without him, we can't do anything. So we should avoid that. That is very bad because sometimes it may not even be true. Yes, sometimes people see things they don't even understand. I know similar thing in a church where the woman was blamed as the cause of the inability of the wife of the son to conceive. And the lady disrespected the mother-in-law for years.
Right.
But by God's grace, later she realized that no. This woman is not the one doing me. And you don't hear me. And now they are now in good terms. So you see, if the woman was to react, she would have just left them on their own. But she was mature, so she relaxed, and the daughter-in-law is now good with her again. So we should stop that thing. Rather, we should be strong, even no matter the power working against you. If you are strong in Christ and Jesus is with you, you can overcome any evil thing. Satan Christ is afraid of you. Who is a witch? So we got to be strong in Christ and be prayerful. That is it. And then avoid declaring people witch or wizard and the rest. No.
So lastly on third parties, where I'll put social media into this space.
Yeah.
I know a certain man who says, Nana, I've done all I could to a point I've disconnected internet in my house. My wife is so much glued to social media. And now social media is just like the movies you see, a lot of fiction and stuff for views and
Yeah.
and those stuffs. To a point, his wife is, let me say, wants her marriage to be like whatever she has seen
Influences, sure.
on social media. So how can this man speak to his wife to do away with all these stuff?
When we got married, besides the asofo things, when I want to relax, I like watching football. My wife doesn't like that. She likes Nigerian movies. Okay. So if you don't take care, this can create problem. You take the remote, she wants to watch Nigerian movie. You also want to watch. What will happen? If you say I'm the man, it will create problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Some say if you can't beat them, join them. I'll join you watch. When there is commercial break, I come back to watch. We need to sacrifice for each other. Now, if the man wants to help the wife avoid addiction to social media, you should calm down. One, if the wife wants to go online, go with her. Okay, let's say for 1 hour, we are going to follow things on Facebook or this. After 1 hour, find something nice doing with her. Like you can buy a book. Okay, we are reading this book together. Most of the time, books that I buy one for my wife, like Purpose-Driven Life. Yeah. So 1 hour on social media. Now let's come. Another 1 hour. We are going to read this book, chapter 2. Now, once you do that, you see, to change someone who is addicted to a habit, it's not easy.
Exactly.
So then give the wife alternatives. Another 1 hour, we are studying book. Another 1 hour, play. Last 2 days, we had a game in the house. We had a cardboard. I designed a cardboard, divided it into 6. Biscuit at one part, water at one part, a bottle of malt at one part, tangerine at one part. Then we had a pedal in the middle. You turn it. Near person you choose. The whole house. Very nice. So at that time, the phone will be off. And remember, yes, I do it. We will get up, go and say to our boys, when we come, we want them to change by force. It will not work that way.
Exactly.
Find alternatives for her. Do it with her. Go out with her. Remember, you are worried on any Nigerian prayer. Da! On the boys that Bekakodi. On fan Nigerian prayer. She can't sit there 24 hours.
Exactly.
She wants to be engaged. So, you see, men must be innovative. That's why we are the head. The brain is for creativity. Find something so that if you are engaging her with something, it will reduce the time on social media.
Okay. I think this topic we should have about let me say 3 hours on this particular topic, or perhaps maybe a discussion, a teaching service
sure.
during our Sunday service.
Yeah.
I think when you go to council, I think you should push this up and let's see. But then, Sofo, do you have any last comments or closing remarks to wrap up this whole segment?
Good. So one, all this while we've been more or less focusing on the couple. Yeah. Now we want to plead with in-laws and relatives that when you read Exodus 18, Jethro was very honorable in dealing with the in-law Moses. Before he went to Moses, he gave him prior notice that I'm coming. When he went, he observed him. When he realized he was doing something which was stressful, he gave an advice. We should be moderate in dealing with our in-laws, and so that their marriage can be better. To the young ones who are yet to enter marriage, I will encourage you that build a strong moral character based on the Bible. Live according to the word of God. Pray into it before you enter. Because marriage is good, but these challenges are there. Learn a lot about why are marriages breaking. Learn to avoid the causes. Why are some marriages doing well? Learn and make sure you do those things when you enter marriage. And then let me say it. One key thing we ought to know, especially those who are yet to marriage, avoid sexual immorality before you marry. In Chi, sexual morality is called egwamai. When you break it down, it means egu or mind, that which destroys nation. That's what the Bible says. Flee. Life is in the blood. Abranti ababa onwarewoya sex, run away from it. When you get married duly, you enjoy it. Make us say you be that obi kunechi. Get up and go home. Because you are building a wrong foundation. When you get married, it will haunt you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Sofo, for your time to teach us all this. Hope to have you again next time. Well, viewers, it's been another interesting time with Let's Talk About. We want to say a big thank you to our Assistant Minister in charge here at the Trinity United Church, Legon, for helping us discuss the topic.
Welcome.
Join us same time next week for another interesting and engaging topic. I've been your host, Nana Kofiba. A lot of people call me NK. See you next week.